Hello, everyone. It is great to be back with you tonight. I am Pam with Perfectly Holistic, and we are back for a live Q&A. And it's been about a month since we've gotten together, so I just want to say thank you guys for joining us. Let me know if you're watching. Say hi, drop a little note in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from, because I always like to see what's going on and where everybody's joining in from. And we also have people from Instagram. I'm live on Instagram tonight. So if you guys have any questions about cats, holistic health, a combination of the two, any kind of feline question, let me see if I can help give you some ideas and suggestions. So thank you guys for joining us. I cannot believe it's December. And Christmas is like 2.5, 3 weeks away. That's just absolutely crazy. So I know the end of the year is quickly approaching. So I hope you guys have had a great month so far and a great week. Let's see. We're going to give the Instagram just a little bit of time to kind of get together over here and let the algorithm kind of kick in. So I want to say hi to Jennifer, and she's watching from Northeast Oklahoma. Awesome. I don't know who Facebook user is. That's what it says. Hi back to you guys. And hey, DQ, how are you on Instagram? And congrats again on passing your certification. I had no doubts that you would ace everything. So anyway, we have a fun little time lined up tonight for Q&A. So what questions do you have? Now, I do have a few that were dropped here on Facebook yesterday or the day before that I'm going to answer and kind of go over those. But if you have additional questions, please just drop them into the comments, and I'm going to do my best to cover them all over the next 30 to 60 minutes. We'll see how many questions we have. So anyway, I want to say hi to Sharon, watching from Aurora, Illinois. How is Miss Sweet Dory Ann? Hopefully she is doing great. I'm looking here. It just says Facebook user, so I'm sorry. I don't know who that is. She said, so I consulted with a homeopath on Brit's pneumonia, and what she told me to try didn't work. All it did was make her peppy, not something that she should be right now. Yikes. Okay. Oh, Lynn. Okay. Thank you for putting your name in there. So now I know who you are. It's just weird. On the streaming platform, it doesn't always tell me the handle. So that's why I see Facebook user. Interesting about the pneumonia. Is it verified pneumonia? There's got to be some. She talked with you. Oh yeah. Okay. That's right. Okay, it's all coming back to me now, Lynn. Thank you for being patient there. So interesting. Okay, well, let me just give it some thought. Okay, I'm gonna start with some questions that are over here on Facebook. So bear with me for just a second as I go to this tab and look at these questions for you guys. Okay, so one of the first questions that we had was from Dee Dee, and she says, do we need to be feeding a low phosphorus food to senior cats that have no health issues? My first thought is, if you know for a fact that the kidney values are great and everything is within normal range, then I would say no. And I say that because I work in energy, frequency, and vibration. And when I am muscle testing my cats to see if they need kidney support and what kind of kidney support, do they need a low phosphorus diet, or do they need a phosphorus binder, for example? That's what tells me yeses or nos. So my first instinct says, figure out for sure if the kidneys have high phosphorus levels on their blood work. and just exactly what those look like. And if they are perfect and in line, then I would not suggest that that is necessary. Now, your vet may disagree, but again, I go by energy and frequency. So, but I would continue to monitor those values and make sure she's feeding or she's eating a species appropriate wet diet that is high quality digestible protein, because that will be the best option for her in order to maintain that muscle mass. That would be my answer on the low phosphorus foods. So I hope that helps you with that question. Let me pop back over here and see if Dee Dee is here. Okay, let me go into second question that was on Facebook yesterday. Lisa says, is there a problem feeding cats high quality wet and dry and also raw meat? I don't think that there's a problem, but if you can afford to do more wet than dry, then absolutely the more wet food that you can add to the diet would be much, much better option than the dry food. Raw meat, I wouldn't add, if you're just adding plain raw meat to the wet food, I wouldn't do more than 20% of that total meal, because if you get more than that, then you're going to probably be unbalanced in the overall nutritional requirements. So, if your cat is already receptive and liking the raw food, so believe it or not, in most cases, feeding a raw diet, what's the expression? The cost per serving actually ends up being less than canned food or the pouches. So if your cat is already liking raw, see if you can just switch to raw completely. It's probably going to save you money, just because canned foods and packaged foods are processed and they are more expensive, believe it or not. If you just want to supplement a little bit of that fresh raw meat, again, no more than 20% of the bowl or of the serving that you're feeding at a time. But it's a great way to add some fresh food, absolutely. Just making sure that cats have is do the best you can with the budget that you have, and just know that any dry food is going to be a source of carbohydrate and starch, which the body does not break down very well because cats are carnivores. They just don't have the amylase necessary to break down starches. So that's where you get all these other problems. So stick with the wet food as much as you can. Switch to raw completely if you're able to do that. And yeah, there's no problem combining, the three of that if that's the overall goal, is to just for budgetary purposes. There's certainly no reason why you couldn't do that. Okay, let me come back over here and take a look. And see. Okay, let me go back to one more question over here on Facebook that was posted yesterday. Jennifer says, what are your thoughts on Bene-Bac Plus as a probiotic for use weekly? So, Jennifer, if you are here, I was not familiar with this, so I had to look it up today. The Bene-Bac gel is really for, according to the website, it is for an animal experiencing change of nutritional or environmental conditions. It's great. Apparently they use this a lot for like orphan babies, small mammals, things like that, when they are going through some kind of traumatic event, or losing their mom, transitioning to something, whether showing, whether deworming, boarding, travel, etc. It does say on this package it is for intermittent feeding only. So I don't think it's necessary on an ongoing basis. And I'm not super excited about it. When I was looking at it, it does have artificial colors. And I'm thinking, why the heck do you need to put an artificial color in this product? I do not trust food additives in something, in the stuff that our cats eat. They just don't need things like artificial anything. And plus, it also has sunflower oil. And I'm like, I don't know how, and that's the first ingredient. Sunflower oil is the first ingredient on this thing. So I'm not real crazy about giving cats sunflower oil. Yes, it is a source of probiotic and prebiotic. That's the fructooligosaccharides in it. But I think you could do better. I think you could do something like colostrum, especially if you're using it for kittens, if you're bottle feeding babies and things like that. Just having like a bovine colostrum product, raw goat's milk provides a ton of nutritional benefits, and as well as the healthy gut flora and things like that in it. So I don't know. So you know me, I'm all about energy and frequency. So I pulled out my pendulum to check how well this product resonated on a scale of 1 to 10, and I got a 5. So, you could take it or leave it, but I really feel like there's better things out there that you could use to provide some healthy gut flora, some probiotics, a prebiotic fiber, without the artificial colors and the sunflower oil. So that would be my answer on that. So take that for what you will, but that's kind of my thoughts when I took a look at the product. And the other thing one thing I'm going to say it, I was looking to see who owns the company. And I forget, hold on, I'm going to go back and look it up again because I forget who owns it. And it was owned by, hang on a second, a division of Borden Inc. That is the Pet Ag is actually the brand. It's owned by Borden, which is, hello, are they using factory farm milk? Are they, I don't know their products. I don't drink milk and I don't buy milk from the grocery store. If I did drink milk, it would probably be organic, pasture raised sources, if not raw, but I don't drink milk. So I don't necessarily trust big food companies, and Borden is one of those. There's just too much factory farm products in the marketplace. And so I would need to do a little bit more digging to understand who this company is, where their sourcing is, where are they getting this, what's the source of their probiotics and their ingredients. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't say anything about organic on it. So I'm just a little leery. So I hope that helps. And that may not be a full answer, but that's kind of that's my feedback based on what I'm seeing so far. And again, I'm all about energy. And if it's only a 50%, you can do much, much better than that. So that would be my 2 cents. I'm going to say hi to some people over here on Instagram. So thank you guys for joining in. If you have questions, let me know. Just pop them into the comments over here on Instagram too. I'm going to keep an eye on that. So, okay, we have a few questions to go through here. Okay, so YYZ Pauline, looks like from Canada. You have a 2.5-year-old female cat, Jude, who has bouts of green colored diarrhea today. Oh, that is not good. I'm so sorry. He probably doesn't feel very good. You could, first of all, I would figure out, why is the diarrhea green? I always ask, that's the first question. So instead of asking, what do you do? Ask, why is this happening? Did he eat something he shouldn't have eaten? Did you transition to a different food? A different protein, perhaps? Has he always had GI issues? Was it just today, or was this something that kind of happens and comes and goes? So I would ask some deeper questions around, why do you think it's happening? And feel free to drop an answer in here, and I'm happy to answer it. But that's definitely not a good thing Now, if it resolves on its own, that's great because that's the body doing what it's supposed to do. If you wanted to try doing some, you could throw in some probiotics, some prebiotics, maybe like some pumpkin to help firm up the stool. There's also a couple homeopathic remedies that you could look at. One is Nux vomica 30C, and the other one I'm thinking of is Arsenicum album. But there's multiple remedies for diarrhea issues. I think pulsatilla is another one. Mercurius is another one. We match the symptoms. You can even do a Google search. This is a really cool thing. So I want you guys to take notes. Do a Google search homeopathy for green diarrhea and see what pages populate in your search. Just go through them and look at each remedy that they recommend for diarrhea and see which ones match in the rubrics or the descriptions of how that remedy is best used, or what indications are showing you that this is a remedy to use, and see which one comes up with green diarrhea. It's typically, I would think green is something that they ate, but I could be wrong. It could be totally unrelated and something else. So she says, I gave arsenicum. Okay, if that doesn't work, you could do like 2 or 3 doses of that. If that doesn't fix it, switch to Nux vomica and see. But again, I would go back and do some digging, figure out what he got into that possibly could have contributed to the diarrhea first. Add some probiotics, add some fiber, like the cooked pumpkin or something like that to help firm it up as well. That certainly isn't going to hurt. Okay, and then next one. Jennifer says, have you personally used Easy Complete or L-Nutrin completers? Yes, I have. In fact, I have like 3 different completers in my refrigerator. I have used Easy Complete in the past, and my cats liked that. I have used Nutrin. Nutrin has a couple different products. They have one that you use for like the prey model diet. That's the organ, meat, bone that's already ground up that you need a completer for. And then they have another formula that's not for the organ, meat, bone, because if you put too much of minerals, it can cause a lot of constipation, and it's just too much, period. So make sure you're using the right product option based on the type of raw meat or blend that you have. I was able to get them to do the L-Nutrin. I was buying the Viva Raw Prey model. I think it's pure or something like that. But then I switched to their complete diet, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. So I've got a refrigerator full of like 3. And there's another one called TC Feline. I know I have it. It's probably open. I think I've tried several different ones, but I haven't had to use it. So hopefully they are still good. I've just been buying the complete stuff, so it just makes life a little bit easier. One step less that I have to do in getting things put together. Let's see here. Okay, Teresa Scallon said, I sent you a message last week about my cat having emergency surgery. Oh my, they removed a tangerine-sized tumor from her stomach. It has been identified as cancer. I'm thinking of starting her on lomustine. Sorry, I'm trying to read here. Any input on the medication? Any other suggestions? I know this is a deep question. I would like to take this offline with you. Here's the thing. I am not a vet, and I cannot talk about medication. That is not my wheelhouse, and I would be doing you a disservice if I talked about that, because I really have zero education on drugs, especially anti-cancer drugs. My best recommendation would be to find an integrative veterinary oncologist that you can work with, perhaps remotely or in partnership with your current vet, to see what they recommend for the specific type of cancer that he has. Obviously, there was something contributing to an inflammation in the gut that caused the ability for this tumor to grow. So there's some kind of inflammatory process that's been going on. This is not something that just happened overnight. This has probably taken months, if not years, to develop. So that said, I would look at your diet, feeding a fresh food, as the least processed diet as you can would be the best option, even for cats having cancer. It's just more bioavailable for their bodies, and you take out a lot of the the extra ingredients that are just not necessary that they use in processed food. So I would look at diet. I know that medicinal mushrooms are really, really good for immune health as well as gut health. They're a great fiber source. They are an immune modulator. So there are some really good mushroom products. Off the top of my head, Real Mushrooms come to mind as a brand. Myco Dog, I don't know if they have Myco Cat. Check it out and see. That just is popping into my head. Feline Essential has a new Myco mushroom product on available, and I cannot remember the name. But if you look at their website, the twocrazycatladies.com, go to their shop and look at their mushroom options. These were partnered with CBD Dog Health, which CBD Cat Health. They made these formulas for cats. So they get the benefits of mushrooms as well as, I believe, the cannabis or CBD or hemp on some level. I could be wrong about the total ingredients. So look at the ingredients, but I know that medicinal mushrooms are wonderful immune modulators. So that might be worth looking into. High doses of omega-3s, vitamin C. If you can look at vitamin C therapy, it's typically done with intravenously at the vet clinic. And then also look at hyperbaric chamber, see if that's available in your area as well. But those are just some things off the top of my head that I can think of that you can look at incorporating if at all possible. Okay, so I'm going to go back up here to Lynn. And I'm going to try to do my best to do this off the top of my head. So, okay, so her pneumonia in lungs. Okay, let's see here. Internal medicine vet did a 3D image of her lungs. Okay, so on the lungs, Lynn, on the 3D image, did they see parasites? Did they, like, what did they see? And was it specifically, like, was it bacterial? Did they give you any kind of ideas? The blood work is normal. She said it was in the upper right lung. Okay. She didn't tell you. Okay. The blood work being normal is, again, I'm not a vet, so I'm probably missing all of like the most important questions you should be asking your vet. These are just things that come to mind. I would find out what type of bacteria it is, if they can tell you that. Did they rule out a parasite? Because there are lung parasites that can contribute to issues. She thought it was bacterial. They want to put her on azithromycin. You know what? Again, I'm not a vet, so I don't comment about medications because they are not my wheelhouse. I would just make sure that, you know, whatever they're going to give her, they're probably going by a chart, you know, if this, then give this. So if it's something that's pretty common that they use successfully in treating this type of issue, then you know what? Sometimes you just got to do an antibiotic. You know, it is not my first choice ever, but in some cases, we have to get through this critical period, and the body just needs a little extra help. You can use an antibiotic for the recommended time, support the body at the same time with probiotics, antioxidants, things like that, omega-3s, vitamin C, stuff like even medicinal mushrooms. If you can get her to take those in her food or whatever you can do to support the immune system, um, do that. Do that and use the medication, because again, pneumonia is a very severe issue. That sounds very critical, and you don't want her to get worse. So you may have to just bite the bullet, do a round of antibiotics, because you can always focus on rebuilding the gut and restoring really good immune balance after the critical part is gone. Does that make sense? I've been given her lactoferrin. Again, I don't know what lactoferrin is. It's not my wheelhouse. So I just don't know. Yeah, I would think with a case like that, you would probably want to use a multi-prong approach, even if you have to do an antibiotic for a short time. Just support her immune system as best you can. Make sure you're feeding her really good, high quality food. That's kind of what's coming to mind right now. So supplements that would benefit, high quality diet, probiotics, mushrooms. Do a Google search for best supplements for cats with pneumonia and see what pops up. Because that's honestly what I would probably have to do to see if there was something that that I hadn't thought of. You can look at homeopathy. You can look at like homeopathy for feline pneumonia and see if you come up with any search results there. But you can also do a Google search for just homeopathy for pneumonia and see what options of remedies come up and match those symptoms as best as you can to her symptoms specifically, because they talk about, when is she struggling the most? Is it the morning? Is it in the evening? Is it the afternoon? Is it overnight? How does she sit? How does she behave? Is she vocal? Is she quiet? They get into the nitty gritty when it comes into all the rubrics. They describe the type of cough. They describe the frequency. If there's fever, if there's not fever. I mean, the symptoms could run the gamut. So each remedy, the rubric, is based on a set of characteristics that match that particular remedy. So I would just go through and dig. Doesn't mean that you still don't have to use the antibiotic, but you could probably try the antibiotic alongside the homeopathy if you find one that's a really good match. But I would just give them apart, at least an hour or two, so they're not right on top of each other. So that's my best advice as far as that goes. Want to say hi to some people over here on Instagram. Hey, Cheryl Hensley. It's great to see you. Sorry I couldn't make the meeting on Monday, but I am going to listen to the recording. Okay. Let me see what else we've got on here. Scrolling through the comments here. Is there anything else that you guys have a question on? Those are all great questions. Upper right lung. Okay, you know what, Lynn? As far as I just thought of something else. In the rubrics for homeopathy, it will even tell you if the pneumonia would be in like one lung versus the other and what side of the body. I mean, it can be very, very detailed. So look for all of those clues. And that's kind of what I would start with. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else. You guys have had some great questions tonight. Can you think of anything else? It's always fun to go through all this. Let's see. While I'm thinking about it, next Thursday night, we are going to be back for a fun event. It's intuitive card readings with myself and Nina. and we are going to be drawing cards for people in the chat. So if you need a source of inspiration, some encouragement, some guidance from the universe, we're just going to be drawing inspirational cards to answer, whatever it is that you might need support on. So that will be next Thursday night at 7. So be sure to join us here live on either Facebook or YouTube. Sorry, we can't do Instagram that night too because of the platform issues with the guest. So, yep. Okay. Jennifer says, off topic, tree looks great. How did your new kittens react? My kittens have been great. I have 2 trees, one in here and one in the other room, and they like to sit underneath them. Now, the kittens, of course, being a little naughty sometimes, they have knocked off a few of the balls that are on the lower part, and I'll find them on the floor and I'll just say, stop playing with the balls. I got to put them back. But overall, they've been great. They haven't climbed the trees. Thank goodness. This is their first Christmas. So they have been very, very good so far. They like to sit under it or play under things. But so far, everything has been pretty calm and there's no destruction. Hopefully it continues. Okay, so Lisa says, is it safe to feed raw? Oh, hey, Lisa. I answered your question at the very beginning of the chat because I got it off of the Facebook page from yesterday. But to tell you, I'll just recap real quick. You're a breeder. Awesome. I was saying if you can afford to eliminate the dry completely, I would eliminate the dry completely. Go for the wet, go for the raw. If you're adding just fresh meat into their wet food, no more than 20% of the bowl, because otherwise it will be an incomplete diet and not balanced for that, for anything greater than 20%. Obviously, the fresher the food, the better, the less processed, the better. And actually, the cost per serving is actually cheaper in raw food than it is in canned and pouches. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. And I was very fortunate. The kitties the lady I got my kittens from started them on raw food when they were at least 8 weeks old. So they came to me already eating raw food, which is awesome. It makes such a huge difference. So if you can afford to do the complete raw, great. Even if you have to DIY with a recipe or supplement that with commercial or, wet food or whatever, the better that the more you can do that's fresh, obviously is going to give you a really, really, really good outcome. But if you needed to mix them all together, there's really no problem mixing them all together like that. So diversity is great, but obviously I'm kind of, I lean toward the fresh and the raw side because it's minimally processed and they do so well on it. Okay, what raw do I recommend? Gosh, you know what? There are so many great brands of raw food. I'm going to give you guys a little insight. I currently am using Viva Raw. And if you go to the shop.perfectlyholistic.com, that's the store, under foods, if you go to raw food and if you want to try Viva Raw, you get 20% off your first order by going through that link. So if you want to try it out, go for it. I also have links to Steve's Real Food. It's Quest. That's the cat line, and they're an excellent company. Let me think. The other raw that I use is Darwin's, and they're excellent as well. I've had no issues at all with any of these 3 brands. And interestingly, all 3 of these brands are on Susan Thixton's The List this year. And if you're not familiar with who Susan Thixton is, she is an amazing pet advocate in the pet food industry. So she fights for transparency with manufacturers and FDA enforcement of pet food regulation. And every year she puts together a list of foods that she would feed her own pets. And she's got 5 cats and 2 dogs. She doesn't allow a pet food company to purchase a place on their list. They have to meet all of these very detailed requirements that is scrutinized down to where they get their sourcing. There's so many factors that she looks at when it comes to quality pet food. Um, she just recently posted her 2024 list, and this is how she makes a living. And it's all donation based. You can go to truthaboutpetfood.com and you can follow the prompts on her homepage to get the list. Minimum donation is $10, and this year there are 30 brands of cat food, that some of it's raw, some of it's freshly cooked, some are gently cooked, some of it's freeze dried, some of it's canned, but there's a nice collection there, and you can see which companies, which brands made the cut for her. Some of the companies that she reaches out to never even respond. Some of them send back the documentation that she asked for, and she says, no, you don't meet this because you get feed grade liver in your food. And, she just has very high standards. So if you want quality brands, I would definitely go get a copy of her list, and support her in her efforts to help improve the pet food industry, because it is really consumer driven, right? So if we are asking for better quality and better products and with high standards, then pet food companies are starting to respond to this. And raw food is actually the fastest growing division of pet food. So there's a lot more options than there ever used to be. So now's a great time to go start to explore some of those brands. So I know that was a very long answer to your question, but I hope it helped. Okay. What else? Let me throw another brand on here. I've used Primal in the past. I've used Stella and Chewy's in the past. I've used Small Batch, excellent product there on the list as well. I haven't finished looking at the list. It's a very long list. So those are like the ones off the top of my head that I have used in the past and that I would like. Okay, so Lisa says, let me ask you. Yes, ask me. Okay, ask me. Does anybody over on Instagram have any questions tonight or comments or anything like that? Drop them in the chat if you do. Okay, so Lisa says, I feed canned Merrick and is it Purina daily, but I feed raw chicken wings. Raw chicken wings are great because that's great for them to chew on, and it also cleans their teeth. I will tell you, though, that Merrick and Purina are feed grade foods. They are not human grade food quality that you and I would eat. They are feed grade, and there's a difference between food and feed. So again, you could probably save a little money on the canned stuff if you wanted to look at adding some of the fresh, frozen, raw recipes instead of one of those. And do you mean like the Purina wet food as well, or is that the dry? Because if it's the dry, I want you to look at the back of the bag and look at the ingredients. There's kind of a it is not very good food. So Lisa says they eat them down to nothing. Oh, yes. And they're small enough for them to get in their back teeth, and grind on. I don't think you would have trouble getting them to eat like actual raw food. And hearts and liver as a treat. That's awesome. She says, I'm so tired I'm so tired of it cleaning. Like cleaning up their mess after they eat, because you could get a platter instead of a bowl, or just, what am I thinking? Like the Mind Pet platters that are easy. Let's see here. Okay, both wet and dry. The rice is the grain in Purina. Oh, the Pro Plan. Okay. Yeah, here's what I want you to remember about Purina Pro Plan. Look at the ingredients. Is Again, it's all free feed grade. These are rendered products. If it says any meal, a chicken meal, and a meat meal, it is rendered, not good quality, very, very low quality, in fact. Rice, they don't need rice. Cats don't, their bodies don't know what to do with rice. Any dry food that you feed is going to be anywhere from 30 to 60+% carbohydrate, which their bodies don't know what to do with that. And it just causes a lot of health issues down the road. In the Purina line, they just add a lot of stuff that's not what you would want to eat yourself. Rice can be, what's the word I'm looking for? There can be traces of glyphosate in rice. There can be traces of glyphosate in corn and wheat and soy and canola. And Purina is notorious for using those kinds of ingredients. So look very carefully at the label, and yeah, give it some more thought. You can definitely do better than the Purina as far as, I mean, there's really just not much benefit to try food. I hate to say that, but there's not. Let's see. Tired of cleaning the cans. Yeah, well, yeah, get rid of the cans. You could do a homemade DIY recipe for, a small price compared to, freeze dried and a bunch of cans. So absolutely ditch the cans. Cans have gotten very expensive. You know what? Here's what you do when you are screening your potential clients to take your kittens or your cats. Tell them this is what you feed them and why you feed them. It makes such a difference in their overall health. And when they see how healthy their coat, their eyes, their skin, their poop is this small, versus this big. There's so many benefits to the fresh food. And long term, you're going to have a much healthier pet than if you're feeding ultra processed food. I mean, that's just the facts. Let me see what else. You can just, you know what? We can't make people feed what we feed, but when you educate them and you can give them actual data and actual information that support why you do what you do, and then you've got beautiful, healthy cats as a result of it, that's very convincing. If you guys have not watched the Get Fresh with Your Feline this week with the two crazy cat ladies, I highly recommend that you go back and watch all those interviews, because it is phenomenal. They have taken every night this week and tomorrow night this week at 7. It's going on right now at 7:00 Central Time, which is 5 Pacific. And they've interviewed all these experts on why we want to feed fresh foods to our cats. And we started with the science on Monday and the studies and all of that, to the myths surrounding raw food feeding. Yesterday was Susan Thixton, the pet food advocate. That was a great interview. Tonight she's talking with Emma Rutherford about homemade raw recipes, how to make them your own. So and then tomorrow night will be Dr. Katie Woodley talking about how to transition your cats from processed food to ultimately a better diet, whether that's wet, fresh, raw, what have you. And they're all going to be on their YouTube platforms. You can go back and watch these interviews. It's going to be amazing. But there's just so much information that you can glean from those interviews, and so much to learn. So go back and watch that, because it will really make a difference. What else was I going to tell you about that? You could even send those clips to your clients to watch. Only this is why I feed what I feed, and this is, watch these experts and what they have to say. The results speak for themselves. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. She says, okay, I got a new kitten, was raised on boiled chicken and turkey, plus royal Canin kibble in Italy. Ugh, I boiled turkey thighs yesterday and they were devoured in 2 hours. Yeah. You know, when you start cats at a very young age on fresh food, it is so easy to get them to do that. I mean, they just kind of know, you know? So, yeah, the sooner you can get them on the better diet, go for it because they're just it's gonna make such a huge difference long term in their health. Okay. Let me see. Okay, I just saw a comment pop up and I don't know how to find it now. And that was on my phone. Let me go over here to Facebook real quick. Let me see. Let me see if I can refresh the Facebook feed. Give me just a second, you guys. Come on. It's a little slow. Let me go over here. Let's see here. The feed's a little slow. So hang in there. Nope, not there. Let me see if I can find it. I don't see, where did I see that comment pop up? Now I don't know where it went. Don't know. Let me look one more place. Nope, that's not it. Let me see if it's over here. Hang on. I'm trying to find it. Okay, here it is. Okay, so this person says, I know raw's best and I can buy the prepared raw, but I have a hard time stomaching it. I would like to make my own so I know exactly what is in it. Thoughts on gently cooked? You know, there is nothing wrong with gently cooked as long as you are following a recipe that is made for gently cooked, because the minute you heat things, you destroy the nutrients in it, the vitamins and things like that, the omegas, things that are very, very delicate to heat. So we can't just always take a raw food that's already prepared and then gently cook it, because it will not have the same nutritional profile when you're done with that process. So if you're going to look at some homemade diets, make sure you're following a recipe. You know, I find that, again, if you can get Susan Thixton's The List for 2024, you're going to see all these brands that have passed the smell test, okay, and very, very high standards for quality, sourcing, ethics, responsiveness to, you know, customer service, from quality of ingredients, et cetera, et cetera. It's very, very good. So if you can look at the ingredients on these brands, you know what you're getting, you know. And if you're not sure what something is, ask the company, reach out to them and go, hey, can you tell me more about this ingredient and why it's used in your recipes? I like, again, depending on which brand you're using, some brands already have them frozen like little hockey puck sizes, so it's easy to defrost. There's nothing really that you have to do. The Viva Raw and the Darwins are in small enough packages that last, you know, up to 2 or 3 days in the refrigerator, so you could use that very easily, defrosting it, even if it's just, you know, 2 ounces at a time. It's just easy to spoon it out, you know. I put mine in a small dish and I put it in the sink and I run hot water in the sink and just let the dish sit in there to kind of warm up the food. One of the things that studies have shown is that cats prefer food that is warm. So like mouse temperature, And I know there's a, and Rodney Habib talked about it this week on Monday night on the Get Fresh with Your Feline. They talked about the temperature, and I cannot remember what it is, but cats tend to gravitate towards something that's warm. So, and just warmed up at least room temperature, it's going to be more appealing to them. So just putting it in like a warm water bath is what they call it, and let it warm up a little bit, and then serve it, put a little topper, some freeze dried or something that they like on top. And then there you go. My cats don't even question. They're just like, just give me the food, please. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. Let's see what else here. I know, and this person responded again, and I need to refresh the page. Something about Stella and Chewy's dehydrated or freeze, probably freeze dried, because I don't think they have a dehydrated product. Let me see here. Sorry, it's a little slow, probably because we're streaming. So give me just a second. Okay. She's currently on Stella and Chewy's raw, and they're freeze dried. Okay. Yeah, you know what? That's awesome. They come in the little tiny pellets, so it's easy just to scoop and put it in a bowl, let it defrost, and put it in a warm water bath, let it warm up, and then serve it. So that's pretty easy. If you're talking about the smell, sometimes these have a scent. It's not a super, super strong smell unless you're really sensitive to smells. But the fresher, the better. The fresher, the better. Then they doesn't have a scent or a smell. So Lisa says, my cattery is Pride of Texas Maine Coons. Oh, Maine Coons are beautiful and big. I'm in Texas. What part of Texas are you in? You'll have to let me know. Okay. Is there anything else that we want to talk about tonight? Any other questions, you guys? We are coming up on the top of the hour here. Remember, I want you guys to all go watch Get Fresh with Your Pet from the two crazy cat ladies. You can watch all the videos on their YouTube channels. You're in Austin. I'm in Georgetown. Hi, neighbor. We're not that far away. That's so cool. And her cats like pork. Yep. Steve's Quest line has pork. Primal has pork. Another good brand is Northwest Naturals. I think, don't quote me. They may have pork. I can't think of another one off the top of my head except for Fetching. I don't think Viva Raw has pork. So, yeah, you have to kind of figure out what your cat's like, right? And there's different recipes, different, the way they put things together, it's going to taste a little different. So rotating as much as you can is great to diversify their microbiome, and give them different nutrient profiles, which is also very, very important, because if they only like one food and that food goes out of, if that line is discontinued or the company goes away, you're stuck. You're going to have some options already built in the lineup that you can go to try to, keep them happy. Tenderloin is great too. Yeah, anything fresh, no more than 20% to a complete diet. So take 20% out of the bowl. You can put some fresh, like you're talking about. So that's awesome. Okay. All right. Well, I think we are going to wrap things up. Any last questions, final thoughts before we go? It's been great seeing you guys all here. I appreciate you joining us tonight. And if you have any questions, I do have free consultations, free 20-minute consultations. You're welcome to book a call with me. You can find that at purrrfectlyholistic.com. There is a book a consultation tab at the top of the page. So you're welcome to reach out if you have questions that we didn't cover tonight, or something happens down the road and you want to reach out and just pick my brain, get some thoughts. And I do also have energy healing services. We have animal communicators on staff, Reiki healing provider. We've got some really, really cool energy healing modalities on our website right now, or actually all the time. But it's a great opportunity to give someone a gift that's unique, that's a cat lover, a dog lover, pet lover, whatever, what have you. If you need something that's a unique gift for an animal lover this season, consider a service, because you know what? It's something that they wouldn't get to do every day. The name of the website is, let's see, homeopathic symptoms. No, it's not a website. Do a Google search for, in the search bar, or you DuckDuckGo, whatever search engine you're using, homeopathy for fill in the blank, pneumonia, homeopathy for green diarrhea, homeopathy for whatever. You're not going to necessarily find it for cats specifically. There's not as many resources specifically for pets, but you can find stuff for humans. And then under all of those different categories or those remedies, you're going to find rubrics. Rubrics are simply a set of symptoms, things that pertain to that remedy. So you match them as best you can. It's not going to be 100% because we're talking cats here. And even in people, sometimes it's not going to be 100% match, but check as many boxes as you can to find the best remedy to try and start with. If you don't see a change or an improvement after 3 doses, it's probably not the right remedy. Okay. So I think that will be it for tonight. You guys have a wonderful rest of your week and a wonderful evening. And remember, join us next Thursday for intuitive card readings. We'll be back for some more fun before the Christmas holidays are here. So thank you guys, and we will see you next week. Take care.